What is the MiniMize life about? Keep watching, you'll find out. Hi guys, my name is Mindy. I'm with the MiniMizeLife.com. We have a cool website we're building that's geared towards homeschooling and RVing and stuff like that. We're not quite in our RV yet, but we are preparing to be able to minimize our homeschool. We're already a little bit minimal on the homeschool. This is our biggest vice when it comes to homeschool. Tons of books, tons and tons of books, which of course cannot go with us on our RV. So we thought we would document that, but I started to realize that I have a lot of information in my head about homeschool and just lots of things that you can do to not feel like you're overwhelmed with things. As a parent that homeschools, there is a ton of information out there, and it's very easy to become overwhelmed. Everybody worries about the kids and are they being socialized and are they learning everything they need to learn? And what we've realized as homeschooling has gotten more and more popular and more people are doing it is that we really don't need to worry so much about the kids and what they're learning. The biggest problem seems to be us. Generally, it's going to be the moms. Some of those dads are in there too. I know you're there. So, um, a lot of it is going to be based around that. And of course, your kids are there too. Mine are in the room right now, sneaking a computer. They think I don't know. So, I'm just letting them do it because it's nice and quiet right now. A little bit about me. I've had 4 boys, and then I do have 3 stepchildren, a boy and 2 girls, and they live with their mother. Actually, 2 of them are adults now. One of mine is an adult. So we've got 3 kids left at home, and um, 2 of those have only been homeschooled. One of them started in 2nd grade, and he's now in 7th grade. We've been doing it for a little while now, and of course, I took my time researching, and we actually did homeschool one of the grown children for a while there because the public school really was off their game, and they usually are. We all know this. So, anyway, what I wanted to let y'all know about is my plans for this YouTube channel and, of course, our website because that's where all the information is. I'm currently building this site so that it can be a resource for people who don't have a lot of money or a lot of time. And time is a huge deal because you can go out and just trying to figure out which curriculum is going to work for you is huge. Well, instead of doing that and focusing on that, because so many sites already do it, I've just decided, sorry, I've got my front door open and we have ducks. They're out there staring at me. um, Instead of worrying about that, I'm just telling you what we do. We use open source books for reading that cover almost every subject besides math. And of course, like electives, you can find some things like, Spanish readers and stuff like that for free out there. And all you would need is an e-reader, something like a Kindle. I love Kindle. Amazon's my favorite. Of course, it's everybody's favorite. But we use those and we just download them on there and they just need to read. We're going to be getting rid of all of this. A lot of these are open source books and we went and we bought some of them at Amazon, and that works for some people. You know, it's worked for us for years now that we're trying to downsize everything to fit into our very, very small home. This is way too heavy. We're not going to be able to take it with us. So I started gathering all the different resources, and I thought I need somewhere to put it, but that's a lot of information to like just keep on the cloud. So I built a website and everything's going to be there. You can go, I've made my list, and it's based on off of a few different curriculums. Um, I won't name those right now. I want to talk with them before I bring them into the mix because, you know, they may not like the fact that I'm giving some of this information away. But the books are the number one priority. You can go to our website and little by little, step by step, I am finding a book and then I am researching every single thing, anything that I feel would be helpful to you, whether it's a free quiz online or a little worksheet or something that kind of just pertains to the subject that the book is about. I'm listing those links in this post about this book. So you'll be able to find, if you go there and let's say you want to read Beric the Briton by George Alfred Henty, you can go to the site, go to G.A. Henty and on the little sidebar, and then find Beric the Briton. And everything I found for that book, including the Gutenberg books, Internet Archive, if there is a LibriVox audio file, all those things are there. And then, of course, if anybody has offered their own resources for those books, and then as I'm going along, I've created tons of worksheets and activities and things like that that will correspond with these books. Of course, it's not finished. There's 300 books from the kindergarten level all the way through graduation in 12th grade. So lots and lots. But my children have been reading these books from the beginning. From the beginning, I chose these books, and they're all in order. It's kind of a classical type of education, but it's not because we have incorporated the computer. Um, we don't worry so much about that. I think that back in the 90s, that probably worked great. Now, we don't want to do complete online homeschool because that makes my kids the zombie kids. They just zone out. Like right now, you notice I've got 3 boys living here, and there's no noise. There's no noise. So they're zoned out right now. They're zoned out. But we want them to have as much experience with the computers as possible, so we don't adhere to that rule any longer. Anyway, so here's our plans for this YouTube channel. First of all, we are recording audiobooks. Any of the books in our list that do not already have some sort of audiobook available for free, if you can only buy it, I'm reading the book to the computer. Seemed like the easiest way. I looked into being a volunteer with LibriVox. I'm just not set up with it. You can tell, very grainy video. I'm using my webcam that's built into my laptop. So I'm just not set up with the equipment to be a volunteer, but I can read a book to the computer as my children sit in front of me, and you guys can benefit from it. So YouTube is a great, great resource for audiobooks. You can turn it on. point it away from your children, give them the book if you want, or a Kindle or what have you, and they can listen and read along, or they can just listen. I mean, it's just endless possibilities. And then, of course, it will be nice, and I will just have to find the time to do this, to pull the audio off of these videos and just give you an audio file. That's down the road. I haven't started that yet. Just an idea for later. So, I do plan on doing this once a week, whenever possible. Um, this will be your weekly wake-up call. We're going to cover topics that you need to be aware of. You know, you need to wake up. You need to realize what's going on here. Um, Something you're going to find out about me, and I should probably just be upfront about on the get-go. I am a libertarian. I do not believe that the government should be involved in every aspect of our lives. Mainly, I do not believe that they should be involved in the education of our children. And I do not appreciate having to pay for other children to be schooled when they are not performing at a level that I feel is acceptable. I don't want to pay for that. And I'm being forced to. I'm being coerced to. If I don't pay for it, I'm going to go to jail. And they're probably going to show up on my doorstep with firearms to force me to do that. So, not very American, you guys. So, I got that out of the way. I'm going to go on rants every once in a while, but I will try to keep that out of the content that you want to show your children. But I will tell you, the books are very old, and there are some culturally inappropriate things in it. I found the N-word. I've found things that are anti-Semitic, and it's very highly Christian. You'll have to excuse me. My chair moves. I just snorted too. But here's the thing. I don't believe that removing this stuff from these old books is really the wisest thing. It makes more sense to explain it as you're reading it that, hey, look, this is how they used to act, and that's not appropriate, and that's why it's not that way anymore. So you'll notice that as I'm reading these books and making a little audio book, if I come across those things, I will read them, and then I will stop and explain that, you know, we don't use that word because it's ignorant to act that way. Just plain and simple. So that is how you work that in. Now, if it's just over and over and over, I might change it. Like I did change the N word to black man in one of those books, and my children didn't even catch on. They just thought it was a description, which I'm sure is what it meant in the beginning. It wasn't. People were just ignorant. I could go on and on about that, but what it comes down to is just be aware that every once in a while I put my own commentary in there. So you might want to review it to make sure that you are in agreement with what I say. Generally, I think that most people will be, because I don't think that the way that you look should have any bearing on the way that you are treated, regardless of if it's for skin color, whether it's because there's just things that are dumb. You have the right to believe what you believe. Let's just leave it at that. So, your weekly wake-up call, it's going to be a bit of advice that you may need to help you or your child out of the school slum. It's going to be very blunt. You notice I'm in my hoodie. I just got up a couple of hours ago, actually. I had to do all the things, you know, do breakfast and get my coffee. So I'm not dressed up for this. This is just your morning, wake up, you need to hear this. Some of the topics we have planned already. Let me read off my little list here. So, we're going to talk about homeschool supplies. We're going to talk about why your kid won't work. That's a big one. Your kid's not stupid, you guys. He's using that as a way to get out of working. Not to say there isn't a such thing as a learning disability, and if your child has one, by all means, but most of the time, they're working you, okay? We'll go on and on about that in a different video. Other topics, feeling like a failure. You're going to feel like a failure. We'll discuss that because you're not. You need to wake up and smell the coffee. We're also going to discuss why you feel like you don't have any friends. And I'm talking about you, not your kids. Everybody worries about the kids and being socialized. These kids are socialized, but you are giving too much time. And that's why you feel like you have no friends. Um, let's see. The next thing, the most important subject, we'll discuss what that is. And of course, how to minimize things. The less stuff you have, the less stuff you have to keep up with. And your children are going to soak up everything. You don't want to overwhelm them. Now, when I'll post, I plan to do a weekly wake up call on Tuesdays. Try to get you guys a video for that on Tuesdays. And then I plan on getting a new chapter for a book up every Saturday. Right now I have 4 weeks already in the editing stage ready to go. So, and that one is on the first book that we recorded, which is Dottie Dimple at Play. So we read that. We chopped it into chapters because we typically just say read a chapter a day. As they get older, that becomes a little bit more strenuous, but that's the best way to chop it up. If you just leave it up to the kid, they're going to sit there and stare at the book and think about Roblox or some random thing, and they're not going to actually read it, and then it'll seem like they never get through the book. Give them an actual chunk of the book. Easiest thing to do is chapters, and if you do that at least one chapter a day, you should be able to get through it all. Now, as far as math, this is a whole nother video because we've probably used at least 4 different curriculum for math. I love Saxon. Saxon's my favorite. The biggest issue I have with Saxon is that they have to have very, very strong reading comprehension, and for the younger kids, that's pretty hard. Until they can really understand what they're reading, and they're not just practicing remembering the phonics part of it. But that's the goal, is Saxon. However, this is something we realized that we won't be able to use Saxon whenever we get in an RV because we don't have enough room for big, huge textbooks all over the place. We've got 3 kids, and 2 of them are only a year apart, and they're actually on the same level school-wise. So we would have to have at least 2 sets of these textbooks, and that's just not going to work. Unfortunately, the editions of Saxon that I prefer are not in a PDF form because they weren't made back then, and they're not being printed anymore. So, just is what it is. But keeping up with our whole open source theme and making things as cheap as possible and as easy as possible, we've started using the Raise Arithmetic books because you can find them in the public domain. That has the same issue. You need a very, very strong reading comprehension. If you don't have that, I would suggest Math Mammoth. That's going to get you up through, I believe it is 7th grade, until you get to the point of algebra, and then you will have to go out and find something else. But Math Mammoth is awesome. Their light blue series, my kids love it. They love it. They can literally take one worksheet a day, and there's just a little bit of reading, but it's so simple they can understand it. It's not a huge paragraph. It's like a couple of sentences, do a little bit, and then read a couple of sentences and do a little bit. They love it. Very, very easy. So math is really just what works for your kid. But as we go along, you're going to realize that in the theme of minimizing things and making things as simple as possible, you want to do something that your kid can handle without you, because we're still in this public school teacher mind frame where we have to teach. You don't have to teach. Ah, here's a kid coming. Ah, here's a kid. Come say hi. What do you need?
Did you give us any gummy?
I can't hear you when you cover them up.
Did you give us any gummy?
No, I bought you breakfast.
You give us like any gummy?
No, I didn't buy you gummies.
Oh.
It's morning time. We're not eating candy right now. So, I don't remember what I was talking about. This is why you can't be teaching, because there's too many things. They're going to have questions. You can answer those, and then hopefully you can bring it back in and go back to what you were doing to begin with. We are all about making things as simple as possible and not running ourselves ragged anymore. We want to have friends. We deserve to have friends. Our friends love us. We are just too crazy right now for them to handle us. That's just all there is to it. So keep tuned in. We're going to discuss all of these things. Hopefully, I bring some sort of value to you guys. If you have any questions, I've been doing it for a while. If you consider, my past 5 years and then add in the year that we homeschooled the other one, we've been at it for 6 years. I actually homeschooled my last 2 years of high school myself, and graduated that way. So there's a lot in there. I can tell you anything I know about, and I've done a lot of reading, a lot of research. Let me know down below what you want. So when it comes down to it, you guys, subscribe, because I plan on being around. Hit the little bell so you'll know whenever everything's coming up. Hopefully I get everything up on Tuesdays, and then our book chapter on Saturday. You want to know about that, go on over to the MiniMizeLife.com and check out what we've got going on over there. Hopefully we can get that all organized for you and make it as useful as possible. And then if you want to know what we use in our homeschool, look for the links. You'll see links to Amazon all over the place. We do make a small commission on that, but it's not going to cost you anything extra. Just be aware of that. Other than that, we'll see you next week. Bye. Hey guys, subscribe to our channel, or go see theminimizelife.com, or you can, of course, check out some more videos. We've got some great books, but you're going to want to go to the website if you want some descriptions. We've got all kinds of information there. We'll see you later.